Hello and welcome to this newest video. And today I'm going to talk about the wheel of life and how I use in the coaching and the self-coaching of myself, but also how I help clients using the simple life coaching tool. And I have been using this for many years now, and I will show you how I use it, how you could use it as well. So the Wheel of Life, and I'm going to share with you what it looks like, and I will also leave you a link to the show notes so that you can download it without even signing up to anything from my Google Drive, and then you can do it yourself. This is a very simple tool that can help you to understand where you are in life and where are your areas where you could focus because you feel that you are out of balance. I quite often start this with the client that they don't know what they want to improve. They know that something is missing in their life, but they have no idea, no clarity where they could go. And quite often it comes from obviously overwhelm, a lot of ideas, maybe lack of fulfillment. But quite often this tool will help them to analyze, to see, to score themselves. But I will also show you how I use this to analyze my own, or generally how I analyze with the clients as well, particular areas of life. So when I started my own journey, I knew what was wrong, and that was my health. So this is where I started. And over the time, I've learned to add different areas to my life to receive or to have the balance I want, right? And the health was completely out of balance. I knew that, and I knew that I wanted to do something with it. But you know how it is in the room, or in the house. You have several rooms, and you have that one room you want to declutter, you want to clean up, you want to paint, and you clean it up, and it looks beautiful, right? And then you think like, oh, other rooms are not necessarily the best, right? So they are not that bright, they're not clean, they are missing something, maybe a bit of a paint or whatever. So you go from room to room and you redecorate, you declutter, you make it beautiful again in a way you want it to have it. It's the same with your life. Our life has several rooms, and we can take the first one, see what is out there, we see how we can improve it, and we then go from another area to another area. And I think, Wheel of Life can help you to do that, help you to move through the rooms. Now, I just wanted to share this concept because I want to make sure that you understand that you don't have to have everything totally balanced, but it's also understand what needs to be balanced and what kind of the balance and level of satisfaction you would like to have, right? Because it's not about scoring, if the scale is from 0 to 10, to have always 10 in all of the areas of your life. That's, I think, when we can go a little bit wrong and putting a lot of pressure on ourselves. However, we also don't want some of these areas to be 0, right? Okay, so let me share the screen with you. The tool is available for you to obviously download. Okay, so I hope you can see it, and I would like you to basically have it and understand what it's all about. So there are different ways to do it, and over the time you're probably going to develop your own wheels, because every of these areas, you can usually have 6 to 8 areas in your life which you can work on, and you can identify the areas yourself. Yeah, but I'm starting with something so you know what to put on. So for example, you can take health, which is one of the areas, and which is here, and you can break it down into further 6 areas, right? And I would actually, to health, add home cooking and physical activity, because I think that's part of the health overall. But it could be mental health, meditation, mindfulness, I don't know, some other things. You can break it down. So I started with health, right? And because I knew that it was completely out, and not only my physical health, but my or mental health. I wasn't in a place of clarity and focus that I could just go and develop something else in my life, like a different career, think about my finances. I wasn't in a mental state to do that, and I needed help. And I was working on myself for about 2 years in the health area. Yeah, that is how long it can take to get into the clarity and focus I wanted. Okay, so you can have like this 6 to 8 dimensions in your life, and you can put it in as a wheel, and then you write down what you want to work on, and then you assess each of them on the scale from 0 to 10. So this is the line, for example, on spirituality. Obviously, nearer the center would be 0, at the top would be 10, and then you place your score on this line, and you can assess. It could be 7, it could be whatever it is for you, and you go basically around the wheel and you assess yourself. Now, you can, if you are in a very kind of difficult state, in a way that you're not feeling that nothing is really working out, you lost somebody, maybe you are going through the bereavement, grieving process, maybe you are emotionally hurt, you're not healthy at all, this can be very difficult exercise for you to do, because you need a certain level of mental clarity. Now, the thing is that we not always are very, very in a state that we can just sit down and write something down, because nothing comes to our mind. I would suggest working with someone to help you to articulate what's going on, and maybe working on one area only. Usually when I have a 3 months coaching program, we do the Wheel of Life probably towards like a second half of it, because people have a little bit more clarity. They've already been coached in several areas, so they are a little bit more focused, right, on their life. So they come to me for health, because if I throw the Wheel of Life sometimes at the very beginning of the session, like, oh, I'm overwhelmed, I sometimes do it with the career. So that's the only way I do the career. Or if they come for health, I break it down into other dimensions of life, and I take and I ask them, give them certain ideas, and I ask them to develop their own will for health, physical activity, home cooking, it could be mindfulness, mindset, and whatever. And in a career, I quite often start early, because the career is such a broad subject. Like, it could be anything really, and quite often is related to finances, sometimes to creativity as well. So, and relationships are big in the career as well. So there is a special career wheel where we developing what's going on in their careers at this very stage, and that needs a little bit more focus. Health is probably a little bit easier, and we can work it out, but what the Wheel of Life will give you is the kind of the balance of the view of that particular subject. But let's face and see this Wheel of Life as the general Wheel of Life of every single areas in your life that you could probably add or take away if that's not something that relates to you. And you assess yourself on the 0 to 10. And you, for example, say spirituality. So basically developing that spiritual guide, whether you believe in God or not. I'm Catholic, I'm Christian. For me, faith is an important part of life. This is what gives me grounding. This is what gives me the trust and intuition as well. And I do it in my own faith, but for you, it could be something else. And then you assess it, whether there is lack of it, whether you need it in your life. And quite often people are surprised that that's what they need, because what spirituality means is that you don't have to control everything, right? That you are here to be guided by that higher power, whatever that is, and you don't have to know everything, and also take on what life brings you in a good mental state and a good health as well. And it's the same, the joy. Joy could be anything, what brings you joy. And quite often I usually start with certain questions like, so what brings you joy? Where do you feel the happiest? Out all of those wheels and all of this dimension in life, I always start with the question, how do you feel about this area? Because knowing is one thing, and we quite often we're trying to find the answers in our head, but we cannot access our emotional health, which at this stage is probably one of the most important things, because it guides you. It guides you. Your intuition is guiding you. What is missing in your life? So I always ask on every area in this wheel, so like, how do you feel about the joy in your life? What is missing? What is already there, right? Where do you want it to be? And that's probably the next question, but for joy, right? And it's about asking yourself some of the questions. What brings me joy? What was the last moment I felt very joyful, right? Trying to remember those things, right? It's the same about the social life, right? So social life, am I happy with it? Do I want more of it? Do I want less of it? How do you feel about my social life? How do I feel about my social life? So we actually identifying, and there is a little bit of underneath this kind of the wheel is just shows what needs to be nourished in your life, and I will guide you that you don't always have to have 10, right? It's virtually, I think, impossible to have 10, but maybe you will be content with 5, right? In certain areas. We don't have to have 10. So it's the next question. Then relationships is the same. Usually I start with the closest, my children, my partner, then relationship with others at work, relationships outside of work, relationships overall with people. This can be quite difficult for many people to get through this, right? Home environment, do I need the clutter in my kitchen to be like in the mind space to eat healthier, for example? Do I need a place where I can really focus on my studying, reading, and my self-development? Health is the biggest area, and I always say, if you score low in here, start with health, because that obviously includes mental and physical health, because without addressing this, it will be very difficult to address all of the things. And I know that sometimes we feel that something else has the priority, but I can tell you and guarantee the health, if it is poor, is going to come back all the time, and probably takes the longest to take it out. But once you've put that in the area of your own health, you will be able to use the same tools in other areas of your life. I always think that the way you do one thing, you do everything, right? Sometimes I feel like, oh, that's not true because I'm better here and better. No, it's the same. I'm accessing the same tools. I'm accessing my brain and my mind, and I'm working on my thoughts. My first tool in all of these areas of life is how I access my thoughts and what do I think about my health at the moment, how do I feel and what I think, and what do I want to feel, right? When we think about health, for example, I'm very passionate about health. If we are not excited to do something about it, it will be very difficult to do it. And it actually relates to all of the other areas. And physical activity, that's related to health. Do I exercise? How do I feel about it? Do I want to do more? And what's really realistic for me? Home cooking is the same thing. Education. Now, we all have a level of education. Sometimes we would like to maybe have a little bit more and be a little bit more kind of I don't know, put more emphasis on education or what that really means, and could be a very broad subject and usually take longer periods of time. So apart from health, I think that, quite often what happens that education quite probably usually takes quite a bit of long time. Of course, if you think that I want to just a short course in something, well, it takes the time to actually find what it is, then have a mindset to invest in yourself and in that new course, because I want to learn a new thing, and then complete that course and obviously apply in your life. Then you have a career, could be going very, very well, and therefore may not need an immediate attention. Finances, quite often a lot of people find very difficult in terms of the finances. Even if they're doing well, they feel like money is never enough. They can't manage money. They're not building wealth for the future. I mean, this is such a big subject. But again, there is a lot of things you can do. But how do you feel about your finances right now? Would you like to have more, or would you like to manage better first what you already have? Which is usually the biggest problem, rather than I want to have more. I think we can find more if we can manage our finances better. Creativity, this is the big one, and I think it just sort of goes into every area of our life. I believe people can be very unhappy if they don't have creativity. And the way I do my business, because I do my business and I have a career as well, so I have my normal 9 to 5 as well. Creativity is something that has always been missing. And once I started my business, I found such a joy because I've finally could use my skills in creativity. And I thought, like, yes, this is the biggest advantage of what I do right now. It's creativity, because I can talk about what I want in my podcast, on this YouTube video. I can create materials, I can create content, create vision board, like, just really. But there are some other areas of creativity which I don't necessarily have to translate into business. So one of the things I would like to be doing, probably more of the cooking courses, but also floristry. I don't want to have any business in floristry, but I love beautiful things. I love creating things. I'm not that much of a painter, although drawing and painting, I would love to try it. And one of the things is on my radar is to try Japanese calligraphy, but I don't want to have a business out of it. I just want to fulfill something that is currently not in my life. So that's how I think about it. And so you assess yourself and you basically give yourself on the lines, the points on creativity. So let's say 5, and then you have spirituality 7. What you do, and I can't do it in here, is basically join up the points. So 1, go here, then here, then here, then here, and it's certain shape, right? And then you will notice about, well, I don't know, so maybe I will start working with some home cooking, because I'm actually not doing home cooking at the moment too much. So maybe I can do something about it. But is that priority for me right now or not? I believe that home cooking is required for good health, and we just want to make it simple. And if you are not a much of a cook and chef and don't want to spend hours and hours in the kitchen, I think you still can do quite a bit on that anyway. All right. And then you look at that and take the area you want to work on for sure, but also understand what would be your ideal balance. So let's say if my creative is 5, I'm satisfied with 5, because you absolutely can be, or I wanted this to be 8, or I don't need it that much, so maybe 1. I think creativity, the highest you get it, the better. But of course, we can't have 10 in all of the life. So we have to ask ourselves, are we happy with 5 or 7 or 1, or wherever? And what is our ideal balance? I don't want you to overthink it, right? Because I want you to take it, and I will show you in a moment, and assess yourself every 3 months on it, right? It can change. You can do certain things. So once I have been doing this for on a monthly basis, but then I realized I just need more time to implement some of the ideas and who I'm truly in. Sometimes when I feel the need, I will do it on a monthly basis. But what I have done, I have created my own wheel for this year. So I did it in January, and you can do it as well for the rest of the year, right? So this is basically mine in here. And this is something I very interested to see in January 2024, how it has improved or changed basically over this 12 months. And that gives me a little bit like a nice reflection of what was important when I was thinking. And even now I'm looking at this wheel, so like, I'm not sure about that. Yeah. And it's okay, because I've took maybe some other priorities in life. And generally, I will be assessing myself in March, because that will be a third month, and I will be taking that wheel. So like, what do I want to focus more in the next 3 months? And I give myself 3 months. Now, once you get really good with your skills, because it's not about doing the assessment and then putting this in the drawer and forgetting about it, right? It's about taking the action. So I always take, if you are new to it, just take one area for 3 months and see whether you can have an improvement in that. And somehow other areas can fall into it as well. But I would say focus your attention on one. That's why I focused for about 2 years on my health, which was a lot. And in the meantime, I also focused on my career, where I basically decided to train as a coach, health coach, life coach, and also as naturopathic chef. So that gave me that creativity. But it was as a kind of the progression from what I have already developed. So the actions are important. So in my will, when I done the assessment, what I have done, I basically assessed myself and put my feelings in each area, but also what would I like to explore. It's not like a list of things to do, but this is what is on my mind. And like I said, in creativity, can I explore floristry, just to give me a bit of idea, like go into the workshop? Can I do a little bit of drawing or painting, right, if I want to do that? What about cooking, which for me is also creativity, right? It's not, when I serve my food, I want this to look beautiful, right? So for me, that creativity is important. And you go through the wheel and you just basically note different points on different things and you take action. Once you are probably using this tool for a year, I would say, that's how long it takes sometimes. You can start developing different areas in parallel. So when I think about now and I take 3 months, I'm not only working on my health, because that health, I'm happy that I have it at the level, let's say 8. So I'm happy where I am. However, I have to maintain that level 8. And that is work. So it's a physical activity, it's healthy cooking, it's my mindset, it's my mental health, right? So I maintain that. But it doesn't take any much more effort, because I already have habits supporting my health, right? And then I'm focusing on my health, I maintain that, and then I focus on something else. So I may focus on finances, right? So if it is 2, I definitely don't want this to be 2. I want it to be, again, about 8 or 7, right? So, and I'm focusing on spirituality. Social life, for example, for me, it's okay if it is at 3 or maybe 4 or 5. I don't have to have it any higher. I'm not a person, like, I'm not a social butterfly. I'm very much in my own, I call it, inner circle of people I know. Sometimes I go out. Sometimes I feel like I just need a phone call. I don't have to be out there, because I do work on a lot of my personal development stuff. But I like spending time together. But it doesn't mean that I have to be there, out there all the time, just to feel that it's balanced, right? I think it's just the opposite for me. It's once in a while is enough. And I just assess myself. And a lot of my clients find it particularly useful. So I leave it at that. If you have any questions, then do let me know, because I think it's so, it can be a very useful tool to understand where you are in your life right now. And it can help you to give you a certain clarity. It's not for you to feel pressure to do certain things, but it's for you to feel that you are getting somewhere, that you're getting more clarity, that you have maybe a small improvement, right? Because wheel of life is also one of the most important things is that you're assessing yourself against what you already have in every area. It's not that there is a lack in every of this area, because it can feel like that. That's why I said, if you are not in the best mental state at the moment, that assessment can be very flat. So it could be, not really high, because our perspective is not there. So if you want to have help in that and feel that you want to have that fair assessment, and so that somebody else can offer the perspective, maybe do it. If you can't afford coaching at the moment, you can do it with your friends. We can do it with your partner, right? I gave it to my husband and my daughter at the beginning of the year. Please assess yourself where you are, right? If you want to, obviously, I can't force anyone, but they found it very useful. Oh, that's interesting that I feel like that, right? So I will be doing more on that, in terms of, this is like kind of the exercise I do sometimes with the clients when they are to create their vision board, right? Some people have very clear ideas when they want to put on the vision board. Vision board is like, the collection of pictures and motivating things that you want to, for example, achieve, or just want to be who you want to be and feel it. And I have beautiful pictures of what I want to achieve and how I want to show up for myself this year. But quite often I start with the wheel of life, because people have not necessarily the idea where they are and what they really truly want. And then after the initial assessment, they go and gather the pictures from the newspapers, the quotes, things that can help them to put things into more visual form. And after that, there is obviously development of habits, because we want to support ourselves in where we want to, when we're going to work, right? Okay. If you are interested in the life coaching, I would be more than happy to help you. So please do contact myself, and the information is in the show notes. Obviously, the tool is available there for you if you want to print it, do something with it, or have any questions, again, do let me know. Take care, and thank you very much for watching. Obviously, subscribe, like, share. I think more people can use this tool, because it's a very simple and something that you can do on your own, and can help you a lot potentially. So take care, and until next time.